Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Who remembers the BJ and Bill Show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
And welcome to episode 4, which really we're going to kind of make a special edition because for those of you who do not know, on the BJ and Bill podcast, we actually got started in Fort Myers, Florida, which is in Southwest Florida, where all the yuck, I guess would be the way to put it. You're more elegant. You put it in your words. Or the mayhem.
First, it's eloquent.
Eloquent?
And it wouldn't be Bill Stevens if I didn't correct your English. So yes, although I'll take elegant. Thank you. I am more, I don't know that I'm more elegant than you. I'll go with the eloquent. Yes, it was a mess. And I mean, we don't want to make light of it because yes, that's where we lived and worked for many, many years in Southwest. I mean, right where the storm did the most damage is where you and I lived, which is Fort Myers Beach, Naples, Bonita Springs, Estero, Sarasota. I mean, we were there for, I don't know about, I do know about you. We were both there for 20 plus years. And
I actually was there for about 40 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
my son's and we moved here when he was 4.
I actually first moved and that was before BJ and Bill, but I actually first moved to Fort Myers, Florida in 1980, 43 years. And then I moved to work in Arizona for a while and came back to Fort Myers, which is when the BJ and Bill era started. So yeah, 40 years on and off in Southwest Florida. So anyway, our hearts and our prayers and our feelings go out to all the folks that are affected by this. And I have watched, I'm sure you have too, I'm sure everybody has, but for people like you and me who lived there, you can see the videos and you watch stuff go by on the video and you go, oh my God, I was there. I was in that restaurant on that fishing pier, and it's just, the devastation it's heartbreaking. It really is.
That's like for many years I worked on it was called the Fun Cruise. I called it a junket. It would go out 9 miles and allow people to gamble
right
in the Gulf of Mexico. And so I did that for about 1.5 years as a assistant cruise director.
Yes.
It's kind of like a gopher or something. I don't know. But so I went out to Fort Myers Beach like daily during, those times. And just to see Fort Myers Beach basically flattened.
Yeah.
But one thing that is kind of, I don't know if it's, I don't know what the word is to use, but anybody that lives or maybe even been to Fort Myers Beach knows the party spot. And that is the Lani Kai.
The Lani Kai Beach Resort. It was a hotel probably built, I don't know. Wow. It was old.
And what's funny, it is still there.
Yeah.
And some of the footage while the water was coming up was showing the Lani Kai. Now, I have a friend who DJs out on the beach there at the Lani Kai. He kind of works for the Lani Kai.
Uh-huh.
And he says probably it'll be 6 months, but they are planning on reopening. But he said, he talked to the people in charge and he says, yeah, but it'll probably be 6 months before, we're in operation again.
There was, and if you watched the Weather Channel as the storm was coming ashore, they had that camera positioned in the parking lot across the street, which was Estero Boulevard, if you know your Fort Myers Beach area, across the street from Estero Boulevard, looking at the Lani Kai, and the water was coming up. And eventually the camera went underwater. And the guy on the Weather Channel goes, oh, and by the way, that camera is 6 feet off the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, 6 feet of water across the beach.
Now they, as of, when we're recording this podcast, and let me just say, what is this? This is the 3rd of October.
As we record it, yes.
And they, as of yesterday, still weren't letting people on Fort Myers Beach unless you lived on Fort Myers Beach.
Right.
Because I have a friend who has a mom that lives on Fort Myers Beach that's still there. She's fine.
Oh, good.
And she wants to stay there, although she has plenty of damage, but she doesn't want to leave her home.
Right.
Her son's trying to talk her into it, but nonetheless, he has been in communications with her, but he wanted to go out and see her, but he wasn't even allowed on the island yet because he wasn't a resident of the island.
Right. Right. I get that. And I mean, I'm glad to hear that your friend's mom has a house, because many people, what they had is literally gone. It's just wiped clean, and it's just like back to the natural beach that it was. And I thought of that. I mean, if you, again, for those listeners who've never been to Fort Myers Beach, you're hearing the recollections of two guys who spent a lot of time there. So, I mean, I take it for what it's worth, but that area, that little Times Square shopping center, and then down to the Lani Kai, there was one of my favorite restaurants and bars was the Beached Whale. Gone.
Oh yeah. I wonder if that
building is gone. Just gone. Wiped off the face of the earth. Unbelievable to see that.
Then right by that pier was the Dairy Queen. I wonder if the Dairy Queen is maybe still there.
Right. And there was it went through several iterations. There was, of course, a seafood restaurant there. There was an Italian restaurant there where I had more than a few slices, there and everything. And just insane, just insane to look at those pictures and to think what they're going to do, how it's going to come back from that. I don't know. That's for smarter minds than ours, but they will.
And even before the BJ and Bill show, I was at an oldies station, which was an AM. There was a bar out there called the Oyster Bay.
Yeah.
And I DJ'd every Friday night. We had an oldies night on Friday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, it's changed names a couple of times, but a lot of those places you frequent, you wonder, is it still there?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the buzz with the community, because that's always kind of been, even now, I don't know how that is either, but they're putting a Margaritaville, which isn't even open on
Right.
Fort Myers Beach. And I know the residents of Fort Myers Beach opposed it. I mean, really strongly opposed it. It did go through finally where they allowed it to come, to town.
Right.
They wanted to keep it out. And now the local residents are really kind of saying, what are they going to do now? They're going to use all this land, and it's just going to be row after row after row of condos.
Right.
So they're kind of up in arms again, saying, we loved our old beach town. We loved the way it was. Please, I mean, you've got to change it because you've got to rebuild. But, are the big developers going to come in?
Right. And that's
buy
the
up
problem.
the land
Yeah.
and start putting condos up.
And they're going to, and yes, all of what you said is so true and so sad, and yet in a way kind of inevitable, because you're not building back these old cute houses on stilts or whatever. You're just not. I'm sorry. And, it's going to have to be something that meets a newer a newer code for hurricane. So yeah, that's going to mean that all of those nice old bars and shops and restaurants that were along the beach and along the boulevard there, they're not coming back that way. They can't. And that's going to change Fort Myers Beach forever. What we knew I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen.
And then
Wow,
speaking
that's
of
kind of a
another
downer, but let's try and be
Yeah.
positive there.
But speaking of another community that were very well known to us was Cape Coral.
Yep.
Now, you and I both, I think you know him, I'm almost positive, Scott Fish,
Sure.
who has been a local radio DJ there forever. I've seen Facebook posts of his. He had the high water.
Yep.
He had like a picture of what most people would take on vacation. I mean, especially if you have a wife, because they take a lot of stuff. But I mean, it was just like a little corner of the house.
Right.
And he says, this is all I have left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, water just came
Yeah.
up and destroyed everything.
I had two friends in Cape Coral. One lived pretty far west, was on a canal with a house, got away with no water in the house, some damage to the house, no water in the house. Beautiful. Another friend, older retired lady that I had been friends with for years, who had only in the past like 18 months moved into a manufactured home community. Ow. Actually, the manufactured home survived pretty well, stripped a lot of the siding off of it and some roof stuff, but it's still livable. So she's kind of thankful for that. So now, just to, follow the story, my ex-wife is still there, still in the house that I lived in during BJ and Bill times, right near our old radio station. And she also very thankful that some damage, but no water in the house and no, holes in the roof or anything like that, at least not that she knows of yet. I've spoken to her in the past couple of days. Of course, as we record this, Monday, October 3rd, still no power, still no internet, still no, they only yesterday got water pressure back up a little bit. She said that they could start flushing the toilets again. They had to be pouring water into them to flush the toilets. So again, our hearts go out to all those folks. It's just, wow, just terrible.
Yeah, my son, where really this operation that, the podcast playground that, we're getting onto. And of course, we're on all the other podcast locations, wherever you hear your podcast, you can pretty much now hear episode 1, but he has no internet. He has no power.
Yeah.
And we were talking on the phone. He says, hey, I'm going to get the rest of your episodes on and we'll get you all up and moving after I get power and internet, which I don't, he's had enough time now because it's been, 4 or 5 days. So he's done a lot of work though. He did have a tree, 2 trees actually. And I don't understand this exactly, that fell on his house. But he said the way they fell, they almost caught themselves. I don't understand because I didn't see it.
Right.
So he says, really what he sees so far looks like the roof is in good shape.
Good.
Now he loves a chainsaw. He's got a pretty big lot out there in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And he really likes, his chainsaw. He actually went out and bought another chainsaw to teach his son how to use the chainsaw. And since he does live in a wooded area,
right,
he had tree after tree after tree down.
Right.
Had a big oak tree in the front yard. It's gone. So he's been doing a lot of, let's just say a lot of sawing.
A lot of chainsawing. Yeah. And I'm sure that I remember, and I was there, even during a much, much smaller storm. And we talked about this the last time, I think, about Hurricane Charlie. And I remember that when that was done, everybody went and chainsawed what was in their yard and picked up the trees and the branches and whatever. And I remember pretty much every house in my neighborhood when I lived there had like a pile of wood and debris and about the size of a minivan in front of every yard down the street. And it was like, how soon can the county or whoever get there with their bucket trucks to pick that stuff up? Because it was, it was just crazy, just crazy what that's.
And now there's still roads where there's still trees across roads.
Yeah.
And I think now, I don't know if you've ever been to my son's place, but kind of go back into a neighborhood and he's kind of like all the way back to the end of the neighborhood.
Right.
It's all larger lots. I'm not going to tell you the location because I just don't want to do that. If he wanted to do it, he could, but
right.
And so he has to go probably maybe a half to a mile to get out of the neighborhood. And like I said, all the houses are in very wooded areas.
Right.
And of course he had trees across his way out. So he took the chainsaw and got it going and got a few of the trees out of the way. And there was just one big tree. He goes, oh my gosh, his chainsaw just wasn't cutting it almost. And finally, then a gentleman came with like a bulldozer.
Wow.
On a, and he took the bulldozer and pushed the big old log away.
Wow.
And so then he could finally, get out and see what was going on.
Yeah. My ex lives in the area that's Fort Myers Villas. Oh, I can say that, it's a big neighborhood. Older though, lots of trees, much older neighborhood, built literally in the 1950s and 60s. And so, yeah, there every time it's just a nightmare there, a nightmare.
So basically, and then another thing that just really blows my mind, and I hate to even say this, but it's a true story. Many, many years ago, because I used to DJ a lot, not only did I work on the radio, but I DJ'd private parties and conventions, and whoever needed a DJ, I'd show up.
Sure.
It was a bar out on Sanibel Island. and I even forget the name of it, but it was also a hotel.
Right.
And I would go out there like every Tuesday night or something like that. And again, since we're working oldies stations, they had an oldies night.
Right.
And I seemed to be the oldies king in Southwest Florida when we were there, and did a lot of the oldies hops. And it was a hurricane was coming. Wow. And I was out there. And I mean, and I hate to say this because it's very insensitive. And I think we've all learned a big, big lesson with this last hurricane. But we had kind of a hurricane party.
Right.
I was supposed to get off like at 1 or 2 o'clock. And they said, can you go longer? We're just going to ride this thing out. And you'd even see the waves and the wind hitting the window of what the room I was in. And then finally I think it was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they came to me and go, well, we just got word you're going to close down the causeway in about another half hour or so. They all helped me load up and said, you better get going.
Yeah.
Or you're not getting home.
Yeah.
So I did take off, but now the causeway, if you know Southwest Florida, and you know Sanibel Captiva Island, there's a big patch of road and bridges and little islands that you have to go over.
Right.
That causeway has like 2 or 3 places that is just gone.
So if you're on Sanibel now, you're there, unless you own a boat or know somebody who does. You're there.
Now they are using.
Blows my mind how they're going to feed those people.
Well, because they had grocery stores and they had restaurants.
Yeah.
Are they going to get product? Now I do know that they're taking people, but there are some people that refuse to come off the island. Especially, if their house survived, it goes, this is my home. This is where I live. I'm not leaving. And so, like you said, I don't know how they're going to eat unless they're good fishermen or something like that. But they are running ferries, I guess, people back. Now, I haven't heard if they're taking people back out, but they are taking people off on ferries that want to come off the island. Also, helicopters and everything else still at this time.
Right. And a lady that I mean, it's a name that you would know, Pauline Tuttle. I mean, I worked with her at another radio station for years in Southwest Florida, just before, I don't know, just pre BJ and Bill days. She and her husband, he had Tuttle's of Sanibel, probably one of the most famous old school gift shops on the island. And I know that they're okay because I've seen her posting on Facebook. So I'm like, thank you, God, whatever. But I have no idea how their house or shop fared or anything like that. So I don't keep in big touch with them, but shout out to Bob and Pauline Tuttle if you're listening. So
that's like one. I don't know if you were at Oldies 95 then or not, but our general manager at one time was Kevin Pierce. He has a place out on Sanibel Island.
Yeah, that was before my time, but I think I know who you're talking about. But
So like I said, there, I think the last count that I heard, and again, this is October the 3rd that we were recording this podcast, but it was, and that's not just Fort Myers, it's all of Southwest Florida. The death count was at 74.
Yeah. Yes.
That's when you look at a lot of different hurricanes. Can you remember it all? When it went through New Orleans, that big one there that
Katrina
really was a major devastator also.
Yeah. Katrina.
There's people lost lives there.
Yeah. Through a big city. Not to say Fort Myers wasn't a big city, but not like a New Orleans kind of a big city. So it's just, I think the strength and the power and the unexpected strength of this storm is probably what is going to be how it's going to be remembered. So, yeah.
I went through quite a few storms when we lived in Southwest Florida.
Quite a few.
And we're here in Central Florida now, which is way off the coast.
Right. Me too.
And my house and the winds at times felt like, whoa, this is like a storm going through Fort Myers.
You're saying at your place now?
At my place, or this last one.
Right.
So if it was a Cat 2, felt like a major storm when it went by my house and caused lots of damage in Winter Haven, Florida. I can't even fathom. And my son was kind of like me. It's a storm, no big deal.
Right.
That's the way I always was with hurricanes. It's a hurricane, no big deal. Don't need to worry about, but he said there was a couple times, during this storm that he actually got a little nervous.
Yeah.
And he'll never take it for granted again. Kind of like both of us did, we just.
Right. And my ex said the same thing. God bless her. She rode out the storm by herself. They had, neighbors checking on each other immediately, of course. But she said, yeah, I'm never doing that again. I'm never riding out the storm, a storm like that by myself again. Probably won't evacuate, but we'll find somebody nearby to spend the time with, to spend the storm with and all that. And she said it, and it's a thing that I remember hearing when we lived in Southwest Florida, and you hear it from people who live on the coastlines anywhere, not just Florida, but you kind of have in the back of your mind, and my ex said it out loud. She said, you always have in the back of your mind that one day there's going to be one with your name on it. There's going to be one that's like, this is the one that comes for where you, and she said, this was our turn. This was the one that came for Southwest Florida. And wow, hopefully not again for another few hundred years. Thank you very much.
Now, a hurricane also has an eye.
Right.
We talked a lot about Charlie because we were there, with Charlie, and that was another big storm that went through Southwest Florida. Now, around the eye is where the strongest winds are. This particular storm Charlie had a, like 10 mile eye. This one had a 40-mile eye.
Yeah.
Which means that wind was just a howling. And I mean, you had a front side and you had a back side. And a lot of people said, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And boom, about an hour later, they started getting the exact same stuff they thought was gone, if not worse, they said.
I remember that old TV public service announcement commercial with the young girl it was a drug PSA, an anti-drug PSA. And she was breaking eggs in the kitchen and, making the eggs and an omelet. And she said, and you think it's over? It's not over. And she started swinging the pan and breaking stuff, and that's what it's like with the storm. It's not over when you think it might be. And it's like, wow, brutal. All right. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. And we wish nothing but the best for our friends and everybody in Southwest Florida or wherever you were affected. Because I mean, the storm came ashore in Southwest Florida, right around Cayo Costa, Port Charlotte and all of that area. And then went toward Orlando. So you got some of it in the Orlando, not that you're in Orlando, but you're a lot closer than I am. You got some. I'm here to tell you, every night for the past week have gone to bed thanking the powers that be and whatever you believe in, God or angels or spirits or whatever. I'm just blanket thanking them all because I missed it. It missed me. I mean, when the storm, the big night of the storm was either Tuesday or Wednesday night last week. I don't remember, but I stepped outside, with my late night tea in hand, a steady rain, a steady, cool rain, but not like a driving rain, not like a heavy rainstorm, steady, cold rain, a little bit of a breeze blowing some branches around, in the next morning there were leaves and a few tiny little branches down in the parking lot of my place. And I'm like, wow, I dodged it. And thank you.
And I've never seen a storm in this area, at least, that ever took out bridges. We talked about the Sanibel Causeway. There's going over, I don't know if it's over the Peace River or something that goes into the Peace River on Highway 64 in Arcadia.
Right.
Florida at all. Arcadia is a little small town, probably a good 30, 40 miles inland.
Yeah.
Took out the bridge. So to get to Arcadia, I mean, that's Wauchula, I guess. Okay. That's above Arcadia. That bridge is out.
Right.
You're trying to come in from I-75 on 70. It's a mess because of the Peace River.
Yep.
So to get in those little communities, even in the center of the state, is difficult. I was thinking, okay, I would like to go down and see my son maybe for a day, take him whatever he needs.
Right.
And I'm thinking, wow, how would I get there right now? Because it seems like every direction you go, somebody's got a bridge out or flooding.
And I have friends South Sarasota County, like Venice, and where Venice bumps into Northport down there, and the Mayaca River over, crest, a huge flood, closed I-75 for a couple of days. It's back open now, but it's like, yet, like you said, yet another one of those major highways that it's like, you want to go to Southwest Florida, how the heck are you going to get there? And the answer is you're not at the moment. So, wow. Okay. That's our storm update. Wow.
It's like we lived it, but and like I said, we know the area so well. And so just it breaks our hearts just to know the things that happen and the things that are still happening, because so many people, and again, we're recording this on October the 3rd,
Right.
and there are still so many people in Southwest Florida without electricity, without internet. But a lot of them are very joyful today because they do have their lives.
Yeah, very much. I was just gonna, while we're talking, I was just thinking of that because I watched the football game the other night, and
Ouch.
oh my God, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is broken. We can talk about that later, but that's another one. So I was looking for, I know they have the Red Cross, of course, does that. And you can obviously go to redcross.org, where they have a donation page. And there's all kinds of, very often you see on the football games and stuff, they'll have that phone number where you can text to contribute a few dollars. And I'm just looking now, I went to redcross.org and I just Googled, Red Cross Hurricane Ian. And so there's a page right there where you can donate. And now that I've seen it, I'm going to do it myself today. And I'll just remind folks that if you are so inclined, that might be a good use of a few extra dollars, out of your pocket there.
Now, this last Saturday, our neighborhood planned a yard sale.
Right.
And I weeded down my closet.
Wow.
My wife weeded down her closet.
What? Wait. Your wife weeded down her closet.
Yeah,
and
believe it or not,
I'm guessing this filled a 40-foot trailer.
Well,
right?
probably all the clothes we have, probably a good van at least.
Because I remember seeing your house in the past. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm sorry. Apologies to your wife there. Should she take that one?
She's probably listening to this right now.
Probably is, and you'll probably catch hell for it,
buddy.
Yeah, but I'm a long ways away and you're right there. So you will catch hell for it. So I apologize to both of you. Anyway, you pruned out all your stuff from your closet, her closet, etc.
And of course, we didn't have
a bunch of stuff.
There was no garage sale in our, we had a community garage sale.
Right.
They canceled that because of the weather.
Right.
So no community garage sale. And they said they don't plan on, rescheduling anytime soon. So our thoughts are, as soon as I find out, I'm going to look into this. We have, most of it's closed. I mean, almost all of it's closed.
Right.
We're planning on, when I find out where and who will distribute these things, going to take it to Southwest Florida.
That's a good idea. Whatever you can do to help. Everything is needed and everything is appreciated. So yeah, that's a good way to be. I think that's a great idea. And again, Red Cross and other places have plenty of things. I was impressed. I saw YouTube videos, of course. That's, where you see most of things nowadays. Guys out in their boats and their airboats distributing water, cases of water and stuff to people in these communities that still have 6-10 feet of water in them and stuff, especially the mobile home parks and the campgrounds and stuff like that. And it's just insane.
Is it time to take a little break yet?
Yeah, let's do that. We're about halfway. Boy, what a conversation. All right, we're going to have fun when we come back. I promise. We'll change the subject and we'll do something a little bit more fun. But let's take a quick break and we will be right back.
Still the only one cats ask for by name.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome back. It's the BJ and Bill podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, I always love that line. I have no idea what it means, but it's the BJ and Bill podcast. And we did want to remind folks that you can get in touch with us, and there are a number of ways to do that, aren't there?
Yes, there is. Now, I changed our email.
Oh boy.
And I changed everything so it all be the same.
Oh, good. Tell me, please.
BJ and Bill podcast at gmail.com.
Now wait, That's spelled out, right? BJANDBILL podcast. Got
at
it.
gmail.com.
Got it.
And then on Facebook, you can find us at BJ and Bill Podcast. I took out the there. So now everything is the same. BJ
Awesome.
and Bill Podcast, either on Facebook or a Gmail address.
Awesome. and if you would like to contribute or have a question or a rant or whatever,
maybe an old story
would be awesome. We would love to hear it. Feel free to get in touch, like the man said there. So it is now BJ and Bill Podcast at Gmail and also on Facebook, and we'll keep an eye on that. We're starting to post more and more stuff to that Facebook page and all that, so you can find us there. And and if we
were just talking.
Yeah,
we were just talking about the hurricane. Did you see a post that I put up on our page? I think it was maybe a day or two ago, where manager Bill and my good buddy Buzzy Ford were together.
I saw that.
We're talking about Mel's and Fort Myers reopening.
And here's the weird part for me. I had to open that picture and blow it up on my screen so I could figure out who was who, because manager Bill, I have to go and say hi to that guy sometime. And I hope, well, we know he's okay. So, and I hope his, business and his family are all good. But I remember him so well from the days of the BJ and Bill show when we were back in Fort Myers, and I still have the picture. I should post that on the sign. I will. When he put us on the marquee on the sign out front, because we would be there so much. And I looked at that picture of him and I said, A, Mr. Bill, you got old like the rest of us. And B, you put on a few pounds too, didn't you there, buddy? Because he was always, he was in that store all the time, running around like a crazy person in a good way, managing that Mel's Diner location right there by Page Field in Fort Myers, doing such a good job with it and making sure everybody was happy and his staff was, just great. And I looked at that picture and I'm like, wow, time waits for no man.
We love you, Manager Bill. Don't think we don't.
Absolutely, we love him. I've made that more than clear. But yeah, it's
my wife was saying the same thing when she saw that picture.
You look at the picture, and I'm sure that applies to anybody. I'm sure if somebody were to see BJ and Bill, they would, for starters, with both of us, go, "Wow, guys, gray hair. Hello."
I got to zap her too, though.
You got what?
Here's what she always does to me on Facebook.
Okay.
I always will say, "Oh, did you see this post about this dog?" Or "Did you see this post about this?" Because it's things I know she'd be interested in.
Right.
And she goes, "Did you look who posted it? I posted it." So she saw the Buzzy and Mel's Diner Bill picture. She goes, "Oh, did you see the picture with Buzzy and Manager Bill?" And I go, "The BJ and Bill podcast, they posted it."
So there you go. Love social media, for love it, hate it, no matter what, we're going to be there. And it's a good way. It is I have to admit that even especially now, with the storm just passed, it was a good way for people to say, "Hey, I'm here, I'm okay," and whatever, and tell the world. So, it definitely serves a purpose there. There you go. So, all right. But we wanted to move on
too, for me to keep up with a lot of my friends and that I have still in Southwest Florida, because finding out they're okay, like I said, finding out they lost there's a couple of my friends lost everything.
Yeah.
And so it's good just to kind of now is when you really enjoy, I guess, social media, or you feel that it's worth it. Because most days you're going, why am I even here? Why am I even doing this?
Why am I just scrolling endlessly past more pictures of cats? Right. I get it. So anyway, I did want to pivot a little bit and talk. We had a couple of things before the show got started, but if you'd like to complain about the state of our Tampa Bay Buccaneers football team, we could complain about that for a few minutes, because I don't know what the heck's going on with that team, but it isn't good.
But now, of course, that opening play, that was just disastrous there, when you
pretty much set the tone for the whole game, didn't it?
It did. And why he tried to run it out when he could have just took a knee there on the, behind the whatever that line is.
Right. Line of scrimmage
They could
there.
have
Yep.
brought it out to the 25, but no, they ran it out to the 25 and fumbled it.
Yeah. And it was downhill from there, and I don't know if Tom Brady is missing his old buddy Gronkowski or whatever. I don't know, but they got to change some stuff.
But when you look at the score,
yeah,
it was not that bad a game.
right,
They lost by 10.
right.
And what was it like?
Felt like 100.
Yeah, 41-31 was the
Yes,
final score.
yes.
So when I look at that, I go, Patrick Mahomes had a great night.
He always does.
Tom Brady had a good night.
Good, not great.
I think if they would have played the game they played last night, they would have beat the Packers.
Probably because they had
nobody left. I mean, everybody was out.
Nobody. And they do it. Their defense is good. I mean, last night, they had 41 points scored on them, but that's Patrick Mahomes and he does magical things and, he'll be in the grasp. Literally somebody is throwing him to the ground and he makes a completion. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I said a lot of bad words while I watched that game. I'll just say that.
I did too. I did.
All right, that's fine. Why are you even watching this? All you're doing is cursing. I go, that's what you're supposed to do when you watch sports.
My father, when he was with us, hi Dad. My father, when he was with us, and he knew I was in radio, and I came home to Ohio and was visiting with him once, and he had Rush Limbaugh on the radio, and he was listening to Rush Limbaugh, and I said, Dad, this is not you. What are you doing listening to this guy? And he goes, oh, I hate him. I said, why are you listening? And he goes, it gets my blood going. It makes me feel like I'm feeling something here. I just, I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Maybe a punching bag would be for you. I don't know. But anyway, it was cute. So
that's why my wife too wonders why I watch Stephen A. Smith every morning.
Right.
On ESPN.
Yeah.
She goes, how all he does is scream. I go, yeah, but don't you love it?
That's right. Have we come to that? Has the world come to that where we need somebody else? We need somebody else to express emotion for us, right? That's why we watch horror movies, so we can be scared and go, oh, but it's okay, I'm safe. We watch, crazy sporting events so we can yell and scream and get it all out rather than finding, I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but that kind of works for us, doesn't it?
So Dad, definitely.
I know.
I turn it into, but it wasn't a bad game.
Wasn't a bad game.
It was bad, but it wasn't.
Right.
But Patrick Mahomes is going to be the next GOAT.
He is.
There's not a doubt in my mind.
The very next GOAT. Absolutely.
Will he be, that'll be one of those things like people discuss LeBron James and Michael Jordan.
Right.
Years from now.
Right.
They're going to be.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes, I think, and Tom Brady.
Yep.
Oh, which one? Oh man, there's nothing like Brady back in the day.
Right.
Well,
right.
but do you see what he's doing now?
Right. It's like the old when he was having a time, the old Tiger Woods versus Jack Nicklaus kind of thing. Goats from a different age, kind of a stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any new radio goats out there like the BJ and Bill show.
I don't think so because and I mean I'm not trying to be egotistical. Yes, I am, but the business changed. It's not the same business anymore. I mean, I'm sure there are big shows in the big cities, New York, Tampa, Miami, whatever. There are popular guys there, but at the same time, if you're driving or if you're in New York, riding the subway or, doing whatever, everybody's got their ear pods in and they're all listening to either their own little musical stations or their own podcasts or their own whatever. And that sense of like a community, like you and I did that so well, and everybody told us that. And that's why our show, I think, was as popular as it was, is because we had like a community. We added to our own community where we lived. People responded to that. We responded back, all the people we had on, all the great events we did and everything like that. And I don't know that radio can do that anymore. They could.
We were always out, as they say, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Absolutely.
We were out everywhere. And nowadays you don't see that too much.
And it's simply a matter of, like you said, like we have just both said, that the business changed. The business just changed. And is it good or bad? I don't know. It's just a thing of the past. I'm sorry.
In a lot of these cities now,
right.
You hear that, like you can basically drive up I-75 and hear the same, I don't know if I want to call them announcers. I don't know if I want to call them radio host.
Right.
I don't know what I want to call them, but you can start like in Fort Myers,
right,
drive all the way up to Tampa,
right,
up a little bit, and you hear the same people doing the same day part. In fact, I'm not going to say what two stations, but I was listening to two country stations one day, and it was different people, but you could tell that whoever was designing the music, because the exact same music was dropping at the,
right,
like 30 seconds later. It's like, whoa, this is just weird.
It's weird to you and me because we were there. Oh, I hate this part. I hate to say we were there in the beginning, and we
were
knew
there in
it
the
was
good old
different.
days.
Back in the day. Oh my God, we have turned into our parents.
Let me say this just because it'll feel good. Good times and great oldies.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, good times and great.
Although every oldie station across the country, they may have had different DJs where now it's the same person, but they were all saying the same thing. Good times and great oldies.
And for me, and I'm part of it. I understand I'm part of the problem. I have a subscription to the satellite radio service, just like a lot of people do, because it comes with your new car and then they hook you and you pay for it and all that. And I gladly pay for it. I gladly pay for it because it provides a good service. But I will tell you this, that the stations I listen to most on the satellite ones are still the ones that have a live person talking occasionally. Not a lot. And I sure don't mind paying a few dollars for the no commercials part. I like that. But I also like to hear from a real human who has something to tell me. Even if it's generic, like, oh, this artist is playing in this city tonight or whatever, I'm okay with that. I want to hear another human being. And I think that's the part of radio that some people kind of lost the vision there.
Well, and it's like, there's different stations. I won't name any, but you hear the morning guy. And now that's like when you and I first got into the business, you were lucky if you owned an AM and an FM.
Mm-hmm.
Now companies own 3 AMs, 4 FMs. And I know
in the same city. Oh
yeah. In the same city. And that never happened before. You just had an AM and an FM. If you were lucky, you were either AM or FM. You had one station, or if you were really lucky, because the FCC then would allow you to have an AM and an FM.
Right.
Well, now I think you can, I don't know how many stations you can have now, but it's ridiculous. But there are guys, and I know one, and I won't name his name. I'll let him be anonymous because he lives in a market not in Southwest Florida, but he does a morning show, which is a morning show, which he is there.
Right.
But then they own 3 or 4 stations.
Right.
So he does a midday show somewhere else on one of their other stations. It is voice tracked.
Right.
He does an afternoon show on another one of their stations. It is voice tracked.
Right.
What's really, if he's listening, he's going to kill me. But what's funny is when he switches stations, and people in radio, a lot of times will have an air name.
Right.
And you're a perfect example.
Yes.
And now I'm a perfect example up here in Winter Haven because I use my old moniker, Bubba James.
Bubba James.
But he uses different names
on different stations.
3 stations. And I'm thinking, if my name is John Doe and I'm driving around town and I'm listening to the stations, I'm going, damn, he sounds exactly like what's your name? Dang, he sounds just like who.
Right. I get it. And I that's just, I hope he's getting paid for,
getting paid what you probably get paid for a morning show.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not getting paid what you get paid to do 3 shows.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of it too, is that they can stretch out the body, the talent. And there's air quotes there, the talent, you can stretch out the talent and have, one guy, like you said, do 3 different shows. Okay. Now, you've just eliminated 2 jobs. Congratulations. You're saving a lot of money.
And now some of these big companies, they have like regional, like, we had we might've had more than one station. I think we had three stations, 4 stations at one time.
Yes.
But we had a general manager.
Yes.
And we had a sales manager, I think maybe for each station. I can't remember.
Yes.
Now you have a regional general manager. So there's a chance the general manager only comes to your building maybe once a week, which could be a good thing.
Could be a really good thing. Yeah. But it's also so hands off that you're right. You probably don't see the guy, and if you're trying to make something happen, or if it's just generic. It's just so plain vanilla generic. Do the bare minimum to get by and make money.
Yep.
That's it. Let's talk about something more fun.
And if you would like for us to make money, you could always sponsor this podcast by getting a hold of us at bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com.
Shameless plug. I love that. Shameless plug. So before the show started, and you tell me if you want to talk about this or not.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. BJ and Bill plops down in the BJ Odom plops down in the chair in front of me, because he and I can see each other while we record this audio. And he's like, oh, I'm like, what's up with you? He goes, oh, I'm hobbling around this week. What are you doing?
Okay.
I know you're an old man, but what are you doing?
There are people. All right. Get the squeaker away from the dog.
Wait, I don't think we heard it, but you're fine.
There are people who are sawing, cutting down trees, putting their houses back together. So I feel so embarrassed by this story. We have a palm tree in the back of our yard.
Mm-hmm.
The palm frond were loose, where they were kind of hanging because the wind had blown them.
Right.
So I sawed them down.
Right.
And then I thought, I'm going to carry these out to the front, so when horticulture goes by, they'll pick them up.
Right.
So I'm doing a good job carrying 2 big old prongs, or
palm fronds,
or whatever you call them.
Yep.
And I'm like taking them out front, and we live in a villa. So that means if I go one way, I go by 3 villas. If I go the other way, I go by 2 villas.
Oh, okay.
We're all connected.
Right. Yes.
So I go around the easy way, and I get to the road, and I got the palm. So I'm not really seeing well what I'm doing. The road has a curve that I guess I didn't realize. That the road had a curve.
Go on.
I went down.
Uh-huh.
Pretty hard. I mean, I had at least 6 or 7 bandages on from where I was road rash and blood.
Right.
My wrist, I could hardly use for a couple of days. It was so sore.
There was much cursing.
And my knee still, I can't, now when I get up now, because we've been sitting here for about an hour.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to scream when I stand up. It's not going to be fun, because I'm, this knee is going to be used to sitting in the place that it's sitting.
Right.
When it straightens out, I'm going to go, oh. Like I said, I feel embarrassed because so many people lost so much stuff. They're doing so much, work.
Right.
And here, 2 palm
fronds
almost did me in.
Perfect. 2 palm fronds did him in.
Oh man, it was, and I'll tell you, the first couple of days it was brutal. And I don't think it's cracked or broken, because I think it'd be worse. But when I take a really deep breath, this one side kind of, ooh, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
okay. So
I hope
yeah,
it's not a crack.
You've got a bruise there for sure.
It has gotten better over the past, because this happened like 2 or 3 days ago.
Right.
So no, maybe even more than that, because I was probably 3 days ago. So I don't know.
I laugh at, I put funny posts on my Facebook feed all the time. I try and just put funny stuff out there just to keep things light. And one of my favorite bumper stickers that I've seen on Facebook lately is, when you get to be our age, never go down on the floor without a definitive plan on how you're going to get back up.
Oh, see, there's my story.
Yeah.
So I'm down on the ground, and this guy comes up and says, how are you? I go, "Oh, no." And I'm good. I'm not good at getting up unless I got something to hold on to get up.
Right.
But he's helping me up, and I'm like, ugh. I mean, I'm hardly getting up. And when I do get up, he goes, well, at least you. And I don't think they were that soft. But he said, at least you fell on the palms.
But landed on the palm fronds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Like that made some kind of soft bed for my landing. I'm sorry. But of course, I live in a 55 plus community. So I think I almost knocked down the guy that was trying to pull me up. So why don't we both weren't on the ground until someone called 911 or something?
Some strong young EMT worker came along and got you both on your feet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm embarrassed to tell the story, but hey,
it's all right. You
true.
Just did.
I'm not lying. I mean, that's just the way it happened.
And that's the way it is for you. Those of you who remember Walter Cronkite. Awesome.
Now you're
that's
in Gainesville.
awesome.
Did you have any damage in Gainesville?
None that I know of. I mean, literally none that I know of. There was, like I said, at my apartment, and there was a few small branches, that had obviously been loose and leaves and stuff like that. And the whatchamacallit, the grounds crew was around within a couple of days, and you couldn't tell anything. So yeah, we were again, and we were in, for those of you who follow the hurricane stories, we were in, quote, the cone, unquote, for a while, but then it made that kind of sharp turn to the east to kind of go more to Orlando, and nothing we had.
It really kind of blew my mind that Orlando got flooding.
Yes, I saw that.
Bad flooding.
Yes,
flooding where cars, like in Southwest Florida, were rolling down the road.
Yes, and I hope they don't. Well, of course they won't be forgotten. But I mean, we spent so much attention on Southwest Florida. There are other places that were also hit too with this and then after us, it went back to the Atlantic, came back and hit the Charleston area up in the Carolinas. So it's like insane.
Now I do want people to know, because I saw it being posted again.
What's that?
And I don't even know when this originally happened, but Daytona Speedway.
I saw that picture.
That
water
has
halfway
been
up
around.
the wall.
That has been around. That is a few years old, people.
Oh, really? That picture or what?
Yeah. So for
Wow.
all of you people that saw that picture during this hurricane, I don't know if they had water on the infield or not. I hadn't heard from anybody.
Right.
And I do have some friends in Daytona who really didn't talk about the storm that much on Facebook anyway.
Right.
But that's an old shot. I think that was another hurricane that came through or something.
Oh.
But it makes its rounds. Like every time we have a hurricane or something like that, everybody shows that. I'm going, I saw this like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. Good to know. We're bringing truth to the media. That's
Yeah,
the BJ and
no
Bill
more of that
podcast.
fake news.
No more fake news here. It's only the real stuff as we see it.
And we don't talk about the real stuff because we don't want anybody not to like us anymore.
No, it's not.
Now, that was one thing about the BJ and Bill show. We never, ever talk politics.
No, never did. And I know a lot of other people make a lot of money and they make a lot of noise on it, but it just doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'd rather not separate people that way. It's like, come on, we're all here together.
Let's all do a group hug.
I don't even have to hug you. I just don't want to dislike you.
Come on. Hug me, Bill. Come on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hug
fine.
me, Bill. Hug me.
Okay, fine. Jeez. Okay, well, go out and hug somebody today. Make them feel better about it and all of that. So that's good.
Hey, dear, come here. I need to hug somebody.
Yeah, nothing. Crickets.
I don't see anybody coming.
Crickets.
I don't know.
Okay.
She may have taken the dog outside or somewhere.
Okay,
Because I haven't heard the dog go.
Yeah. The
There
dog.
for a second, I was hearing some. Were you
I
hearing
heard
those on your end too?
We just heard the briefest, littlest thing. It's not even a problem. So you're fine. You're totally fine.
And we should tell people that we record this podcast and we use Zoom.
Yes.
And you are in the lovely city of Gainesville, Florida.
Go Gators.
And I'm in the lovely city of Winter Haven, Florida.
Yes.
And so we actually do. I have a den, but I don't have a door on the den. It's just one big kind of open door.
Right.
So, and I see your kitchen behind you.
Yes, you do.
Could you make me breakfast? What do you got back there?
I can do that. I have so much bacon in my refrigerator. I'm good to go. And the funny thing is, before the storm, I thought, do I need supplies or don't I? Should I go and buy something or not? And I didn't, because I thought, if the power goes out, what difference does it make? I don't want a freezer or a fridge full of stuff that's just going to go bad. And then I think I did it. I think I bought toilet paper. I bought toilet paper, and I think I probably bought some water, and that was about it.
Again, are you ready to laugh?
Try me.
So I'm thinking, okay, we're having a storm.
Yep.
We could lose electricity.
Yep.
We could be out without it for a couple of days, even here where we are.
Right.
So I went to my neighborhood Publix, and even they had a BOGO on it. And I already had a box at home. But those microwave single serve macaroni and cheeses?
Yes.
I said, hurricane's coming. I better get these. So, it was BOGO, and I'm like filling up the cart with these things. I got them home. I said, if the electricity goes out, I'm not going to be able to microwave.
That's it exactly. Now, I don't remember if I mentioned this last time, but I thought, oh, I'm golden, because if the power goes out, I actually have a little one burner propane camp stove that somebody gave me a long time ago, and I've had it out and used it a couple of times. It works just fine. And I thought, ooh, I'll be like the hero of the neighborhood. I could make real burgers or something with my little gas grill, because we're all electric here at the apartment where I'm at. So, like most of them, never needed it. it. So
I was thinking about after this one, but we only lost power for about a half hour, where there's people still waiting for it on this October 4th.
Oh yeah.
And probably they'll be waiting for it for another week, some people. But it was too late, and I said, I'm not going to go trying to get one now, because probably everybody in God's creatures are going to probably try to grab one. I was going to grab one of those little gas flat tops where you got the little propane tanks where you screw it on.
That's what I have.
Said, we should have that. That way, if we ever do lose electricity or something, you always got that to back up.
That's exactly what I have. A little one burner thing. It's kind of like the ones when you go to a Sunday brunch and they have 10 of these little things set up to make little omelets one at a time. That's what I have. And I could cook burgers. I could cook whatever. But thank you, powers that be in the universe. I did not need it. Not even a little. Lights didn't even flicker here. Lights didn't even.
Yeah,
flicker.
we lost power for about 30 minutes,
mm-hmm.
and we were like,
here we go.
And then about a half hour later, it came on.
Sweet. Yeah.
But then in the middle of the night, we lost power because, we use a sound machine, and we're old crazy people. And the power went down for about 10, 15 minutes, and then it was back.
Yeah.
But that's all we experienced, so it wasn't too bad.
So we are here to tell you that we are two old guys who have been blessed, and we are thankful for it. And we are thankful if you would like to get in touch. Was that a segue or what, BJ?
Oh, that was a segue.
That was a segue. We would be really thankful if you would like to get in touch with us, and you can do so at our brand new spiffy email address, BJ and Bill Podcast, all one word, no spaces, doesn't matter if it's capitals or not. BJ and Bill Podcast at gmail.com. Yes, it's spelled A-N-D and in the middle. And if you're on Facebook, it's the exact same thing. Just do a search, BJ and Bill Podcast on Facebook, and you will find our page.
And if you do find our page, or you do listen to our podcast and you go, wow, those guys talk about being older. They look pretty young in this cartoon picture of them. That's because the cartoon picture is probably at least 20 years old.
At least.
Doug McGregor was in the studio with us. He's was for a long time for the Fort Myers News Press.
Editorial cartoonist.
He did the little editorial cartoon, and he did a little cartoon of us. And so I was told that we needed a logo.
Yes.
For our podcast. And I said, hey, how about this? So I sent it to Mr. Logo Man, and he before it was just a drawing. There's no coloring or anything.
Right.
So he added color. He made Bill blonde.
I know. I'll take it.
And I had a hat on, so you really couldn't tell. I don't think my hair.
Right.
At all.
Right.
But so that's why we look so young, people. If you saw us today, you go, who are these guys? They don't look nothing like the picture. Plus, I think we both lost weight since that too. So I think
that is true. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's true.
And you lost more weight than me, I think.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure what the percentage or the poundage is, but I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. So I'm okay. I'm okay. We can talk about that sometime, but that's all good. So yeah, again, BJ and Bill podcast at Gmail, BJ and Bill podcast on Facebook. Look us up, drop a line, leave a story, a comment, a question, whatever. We'll be happy to look at them all.
Now, I don't know if you know the answer to this because you are the computer guru.
Kind of.
I don't know. Look at our page if you would.
I will.
To see if, well, maybe we'll have to okay it first. I don't know, but see if people can put posts on there.
Oh, okay.
Like there's some pages that don't allow you
right
to put posts up and some do. And I don't know what the trick is because I had a comedy page for a while, but it's no longer in existence since I haven't done comedy for over almost 2.5 years.
Okay.
But it wouldn't let anybody post like pictures from the show or, anything at all on it.
I'll take a look. I
don't know what I did, but I obviously
it's a
didn't do anything
permissions thing.
Oh, by the way, we started doing this podcast a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And I just want people to know BJ and Bill's known each other forever. We kind of stayed in touch, but as we go our separate ways, not as much as, people would maybe think. So whenever Bill's phone would ring and he'd pick it up, all right, what's wrong with your computer this time?
Yes. When BJ Odom would call me out of the clear blue for no reason at all, usually there was a computer issue, but you can rest assured knowing you're not alone. I get those calls. I get those calls pretty darn often. And in fact, well, that's another story for another day. And we're kind of out of time about talking about phones and computers and all of that stuff. So we'll have maybe some more news on that coming up soon. So, but for now, that's it. Thanks for being with us, folks. Yeah, we're done. You're over your time.
This is like our 4th episode. This is, of course, a special episode because we started about the hurricane.
Yeah.
So, man, I thought, can we go about an hour each time? And so far, we've had no problems. That's like a friend of mine, Tom Drake, heard our last show. He goes, man, you guys went an hour and ran out of things to say and didn't step on each other. You sounded like professional radio people or something.
Your Zoom feed broke up a little bit there. So hats off and tip of the hat to our friend Tom Drake, who is an old comedian friend of the show and more a friend of yours, but I knew him well as well. So awesome, Tom. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Spread the word.
Here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready to say that just for now, that's going to be the show. We'll see you again next week, but now it's just up to BJ Odom to say, see ya.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.